It's day 3 of the Mining Indaba here in Cape Town, and of course discussions continue with the overarching theme being about ESG and the just transition. How is the mining sector going to be able to move to a situation where it neutralizes its carbon footprint, the aim being around 2050, while at the same time ensuring that communities that are going to have to move with the change are not left behind? Well, to discuss this matter further, I'm joined now by Craig Brewer. He's the head of origination at Absa CIB. Thank you very much, Craig, for joining us. ESG, environmental, social and governance is all that's been spoken about here. But what does that mean in terms of the African mining jurisdictions? What is it that they need to do to follow this process and make it work?
I think everyone understands that protecting the environment or protecting the planet, it's imperative. We cannot continue like we've done in the past. However, in terms of ESG, which is, as you know, is environment, social and governance, people are beginning to see the social aspect. In South Africa, you can see it very clearly in the sense that we need power generation. Coal is one of our baseline suppliers of coal. Without energy and power, you will not get GDP growth, you will not get industry, you will not get people coming inwards into South Africa for investment, let alone warming people's homes as we go through winter. So I think people are realizing that the environment is incredibly important, but the social aspects in people and how that engages with people is just as important. Naturally, the governance has been around at times a lot longer than the ESG, the ES part of it, because of the JSE, the King Code, and a lot of the governance procedures that have emanated from that. But the social aspect, looking after the people of the planet, has become extremely important.
Now, you mentioned the issue of us having coal in abundance in South Africa. That's a bit of a dilemma, isn't it? Because even our Mineral Resources and Energy Minister, Gwede Mantashe, always talks about the fact that the just transition really needs to take into consideration South Africa's circumstances. And while people have devoted cash to South Africa, the European Union, the United States and other countries, it comes with terms and conditions, and he's concerned that they're going to push us too fast to get out of coal. How do we deal with that dilemma?
At last week's conference, there was a coal conference, and that's where this term, a just transition, where a fair transition has come about. And I think we all have to agree on that. As much as we're pushing the renewable space, it takes time to build that capacity. And again, it's reliant on wind, sunlight, and some of the other like molten salts, etc. It's not going to provide your base energy power. And we have, in this country and in Africa, an abundance of coal, and it's cheap. We may have issues with getting that power from a coal-fired power station through to the end user through Eskom. We've got some challenges there. But I think for the longer term, coal will be something we will need. We must also understand that the coal industry in South Africa employs a significant portion of our populace, both directly in terms of mining, but in all the supply chain down to Richards Bay or to the coal-fired power stations. We do need to move away from coal-fired power stations. The carbon footprint is too large. But in this country, we still need to generate sufficient power to grow our economy. Without that, we've got greater problems than just the environment. We've got real issues with, as I said earlier, with our people and building an economy here. And just as a final point, you've seen with the Ukraine-Russian crisis and with Russia supplying about 50% of natural gas into Europe, that all of a sudden that's been cut off in terms of sanctions and the issues around that. And even Europe now is turning around and saying they want South African coal. So we've all realized that the sustainability aspect is over the longer term. And we need to actually become quite self-sufficient in terms of power. And hence, you've seen Europe saying we can't just rely on an external country. And I think that gives us some ground to go here, that we need to retain, to a degree, the fossil fuels, but we have to have a clear and well-articulated plan of how we will wean ourselves off it and ensure that we have better and cleaner power coming into South Africa and Africa.